How's everyone going? Did anyone else go to WWDC this year? I'm the only one here. Oh wow. Oh, one more. Excellent. Cool. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's get started. All right. So good morning, afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Oliver. I am an iOS engineer on the JP product team at Meetup. So I actually did this talk last night. So I had the slides ready to go, but I did it in Japanese last night. So this is a good chance to try it again in English and see what the differences are. So there was a bit of a thing on last week. Did everyone catch the keynote? Everyone? Yep, good, excellent, cool. This is what it looked like from the balcony. It was very, very pretty. The branding was amazing this year. That 3D control thing was beautiful. It was everywhere. So basically, myself and 3 other folks from Meetup went to San Jose this time. It was kind of interesting because we all tried different ways to get our tickets. I reused my own personal account, but the other folks actually used their Meetup accounts for the first time. So it was very interesting to see who got in and who didn't on the basis of like repeat people versus new people. It was really cool. A fair few managed to get in. So did anyone go to the last year's one? Okay, okay, cool. So basically since last year, Apple actually made the decision to stop hosting it in San Francisco. They moved it down to San Jose. So it's a bit of a, when you don't actually live in America, it's really hard to get into perspective how far away that is. But basically, up until 2016, it was held at Moscone Center in SF. But if you see this map here, it's actually like a good 2-hour train ride away. So it's in a much nicer place now. It's right next door to Apple's campus, which means a lot more Apple employees can come. So it's in a much nicer place. And Moscone is going through massive renovation, so it's a giant hole in the ground. So that's probably why they decided to move. The thing I find hilarious though is the week before WWDC, the same exact venue has an anime convention called Fanime, which is like the biggest anime convention in the Bay Area. So like one week it's just the whole place is calling of anime fans, and they will pull out, and the next week's full of Apple fans. I feel like the San Jose people were just like, well, what's going on? Like all the time. It must be a very interesting place to live. So as is tradition, on Monday everyone lined up to go to the keynote, but it was a bit different this year. I couldn't get any confirmed reports or whatever, but it might have been possible that in the giant stampede that happens last year, someone got injured, so this time they were way more controlled about how everyone lined up. So everyone started lining up, I think the earliest was 9 p.m. the night before, and they would actually take, over the entire period, from like 5 till the keynote, they were taking people in like groups of 30 in and sitting them down in the keynote room. Group by group. So it was actually quite nice because it wasn't like a lot of waiting and chaos at the end. It was very smooth and very controlled, and it was actually a lot more relaxing in that regard. So it looked like this year, the keynote room. It was really wide. Like I felt last year it was a lot deeper out the back, but this time it was very wide. And you can see at the front there's this ridiculously long screen. And I haven't actually seen it on the keynote video yet, but I think they actually did a really good job of making sure you can see everything on that screen in a normal format video, but it was really crazy to actually see that. A lot of good stuff got announced. Is everyone excited about this year? Some good stuff? Yeah? Excellent, cool. Yay. Excellent. That's the view I had, so I could barely see Craig at the front, but it was close enough. It was good enough to see all the goodness. And as you're probably aware, once the keynote finishes, there's a 2-hour break for lunch. We had like sandwiches and chips. It was good to see. If anyone did go last year, that up there is like the basement floor of the convention center. That was where the labs were last year, but this time they actually moved the labs upstairs, and that was actually the common area where you could download your Xcode betas and get lunch as well, a little chill area. And then after that, you have the State of the Union, which is really fun to see, because that's where the real meat of the developer announcements are. And the new Xcode looks amazing. Cool. And throughout the week, there was a few other interesting things. This year, this is probably the most genius marketing I've ever seen. There was like a home pod, like on a little table, like every 3 meters down the hallway, and every single one was playing music in perfect sync. So they had like a full-blown airplane network happening, and it sounded incredible. It was ridiculous. Like these things are so small but so loud. And the other thing was, they announced it during the keynote with ARKit 2. They actually made this little game called Swift Shot. You can see here on the picture. Swift Shot is like a physics-based game where you use a slingshot to shoot pellets at your opponent on a simulated playing field. And what's fascinating is there's 3 iPads, two were clients, which the customers had, and one more an Apple employee was holding, and that was like what was being shown on the TV, but at the same time that iPad was acting as the server. So it was a very fascinating local gameplay showing the moving state between devices. So the labs were upstairs this year. This year, last year when the new iPad, the iMac Pro and the HomePod were announced, this is the room you could go in on Monday and go check them out for like 5 minutes before you're overrun by people. But this time they moved it around a lot. So it was upstairs. It was really nice, really bright. It was really easy to. The lines were really long this time, so everyone was there for the labs. It was fantastic. There was some really good stuff. There was a lot of people talking about Siri shortcuts, and I got some good information about core animation there. Turns out core animation is a lot faster in Metal because they actually tuned all the CA layer APIs for Metal. So if you're wondering performance-wise, it's really fascinating what they've done with it. And of course, this is more of a perspective about going there. You can go for the conference, but even if you don't get a ticket, there's so many things you can do around the area as well. So the main one is AltConf. AltConf happens at a building directly next to the convention center in a hotel, like literally a 5-meter space. And AltConf is fantastic because a lot of talks happen there that wouldn't otherwise be kind of like along the same track as WWDC because they're more from the indie perspective and like their own marketing perspectives and things like that. And of course, James Dempsey, the legendary James Dempsey, comes along and then does a weekend review song on his ukulele as well. So it's a fantastic side conference. And apart from that, there's a lot of layers. Has everyone heard of layers before? Cool. Thanks. Okay, thanks, Matt. So layers is fantastic. One year when I didn't get a ticket, I decided to see how many conferences I could attend. So I did AltConf and layers. Layers is very interesting because it's not about development, it's about design. So it's a lot of really creative discussions and talks about inspiring design and things that like motivate creativity. So it's a very different sort of feeling to normal development conferences, but it's really, really interesting and really, really insightful. So if you do want to go at some point, you don't get a ticket, I really recommend Layers. And then throughout the week, every single evening, except for the bash, there's usually some crazy thing happening. So on Monday, there was the ATP podcast, which was a photograph back there. But the biggest one was Google always throw a Firebase party. And these things are usually off the rails. Like, it was nuts how loud it was. And people were dancing, having a great time, talking about databases. It was just, Silicon Valley at its best. It had a fantastic time. Managed to run into a bunch of the people. A lot of those folks came over to Japan to try Swift this year, so they were all there. It was really good to see them again. Tuesday is a few things on, but probably the most popular one that everyone tries to get into is Jerry Five, or John Gruber, normally runs a podcast called The Talk Show, but on the Tuesday he runs The Talk Show live, and his guests are usually people from Apple. So this time we had two people from Apple. We had Greg Joswiak, who's one of the head leads in marketing, and we had the new guy in charge of AR at Apple talking about what Apple's opinion is of AR and moving forward. And it was really insightful. But of course, they're still very secretive, but it's very fun to see John Gruber poke them about the secrecy. Like he was trying to get them to say marzipan, but they just wouldn't say it. And then Wednesday was James Dempsey runs a charity concert. So he comes and performs, and a lot of the iOS and Apple press bloggers and everyone comes along and sings with him. It's a fantastic evening, and it's for a good cause. That's always worthwhile thing to see. And then Thursday is, of course, the Bash. This time it was Panic at the Disco. The Bash is just completely nuts, because I'm not sure why. I think they do it because planes fly overhead, because the airport's right next to the convention center, but the volume is crazy loud. Like, it is to the point where the stage is in the distance, you can be on the other side, and you're still deaf from the noise. It's ridiculous. It's so intense. But I found out this year there is actually a medical center where you can get free earplugs, which is really, really helpful to know. But yeah, it was great. Craig got up on stage and said hey everyone, what's your favorite API this week? And then Panic at the Disco came and played. It was fantastic. So much fun. The Bash is just half the reason why you go. And then Friday was excellent. So Friday there was another Try Swift, a very mini Try Swift, called Try Swift at San Jose. So it wasn't really a bunch of talks. Basically, you came in the morning, and the first half of the day was a panel. One of my colleagues from Realm, JP, was the MC, and up on stage with him was five Apple engineers from the Swift project at Apple, and Chris Latner himself, who now works with Swift at TensorFlow at Google. And they actually had a really long and profound discussion about how Swift's gotten to the point it's at now, and some of their insights about how it's going to progress now. They also really invite people to help contribute to the open source efforts of Swift, because there's still plenty to do with the core open source core libraries, and just a lot of stuff. And they say there's no stupid questions. Don't be afraid. Just jump in there. People will help you, and it's definitely something you can really do to help craft the future of Swift. So there was a few interesting things announced. It was quite interesting that the keynote didn't really announce many API level things, because obviously it's more press related, but there was some really good stuff in there that we didn't really hear in the keynote but found out later on. The thing I'm most excited about is that iOS 12 has gone through a complete system upgrade. Like, even old devices like iPhone 5S and iPad Air feel really smooth and new now, which I think Apple outdid themselves in that, because that's really exciting. And it's also good because it means us as developers, we still have to support iOS 11 for a bit, but it means that it makes our job a bit easier because we don't have to do so much effort tweaking and like compromising because older devices might be slow for various reasons. One of the greatest things about this was auto layout really got a huge internal rework, so that the algorithms that would calculate layout used to be in order of complexity non-linear, but now they've been made linear, which means that the more views being laid out on the screen, there is not more exponential performance hit now. Siri shortcuts is also very interesting. That's the workflow folks. They've been working very hard in secret for the last year. This is great because now any app can actually integrate Siri, and it's not even something you have to like integrate with the server. It's like all done locally. This is really good because pretty much any app can then now use Siri to do really quick shortcuts. AR Kit 2 is obviously very, very fantastic. Apple has gone on record saying they think AR is the future, and they think we're only really scratching the surface of its potential. And they said that all throughout the week. And Core ML is also very interesting. A lot of people upgraded to the macOS beta just purely so they can try the new Create ML framework, which is the first Swift-only framework. And my favorite one, because I use 1Password for everything, is now built-in third-party password handling is a really exciting feature, because that just means not just third-party passwords, but now SMSs will take confirmation codes and paste them straight in. Stuff like that, like the tiny little details that just make your everyday life better is what Apple strives to do. WatchOS got a few good things. Notifications now let you put custom logic in there, so you can actually have buttons that let you respond and interact with it. So that's a really nice little daily improvement. The main thing I'm excited about is I use a podcasting app, Overcast, that didn't have watch support because third-party background audio wasn't possible for third-party, like for non-Apple apps. So that's a small change, but a huge implication for a lot of apps. That's a really good thing to see. And of course, I mainly use my watch for health, so the fact it's getting more health APIs is also a very nice thing. tvOS didn't get much love in the keynote. It was like, here's the Apple TV, it's got a Dolby Atmos now, and that's it. But people were saying in the What's New in tvOS talk, I haven't seen it yet, but they said it's fantastic because Apple actually made it a lot easier to make tvOS apps look native now. Like before, to get that horizontal tray effect, you had to basically roll that from scratch yourself. But Apple's gone through and added more APIs to UI collection view and things like that that make it a lot easier to create that native, like horizontal scrolling but shelf type of design on tvOS really, really quickly, which is really fantastic. That seems to be the main way to design apps for the platform. And again, it also got third-party password management, which on the Apple TV is fantastic because typing in passwords on that thing is a nightmare. And I'm most excited about macOS because we finally got dark mode, and it's been fascinating to see how that's been tackled because it's a very interesting concept, having to basically reconfigure your entire UI on the fly to different colors. I'm hoping this means it'll come to iOS next year because I really want it on iOS, but macOS is good for now. But the main thing I'm excited about is we finally got to see. It was apparently rumored to be called Marzipan, but at the moment it's just been called the sneak peek, the concept of running UI kit frameworks on macOS, meaning that now it's a lot easier to take your apps from iOS and run them on the Mac. Anyway, I'm really excited about this year, and I hope you are too. Thanks so much for watching.
Any questions?
Yes.
Did you go to party every day?
Did I go to party every day?
Monday.
Did I go to a party every day?
Monday was what is party name?
Okay, so
Firebase. Yeah.
Monday was I went to the ATP podcast, and then after that I went to the Firebase party, and then Tuesday I went to the Daring Fireball one, which is sort of like a party. There was a bit of drinking involved. Wednesday was I didn't actually go to James Dempsey. I had a ticket, but there was actually a Japanese. It's called the San Jose Nihonjin Engineer Nomikai. I went to that instead. That was really good fun because I met a bunch of people who worked at Patreon and worked at Apple. It was really good to talk to them about that. Then Thursday was the bash, and then Friday was just a very quiet dinner, and then Saturday was just sleeping the whole day.
So how was like a Tuesday's party?
The Daring Fireball one.
Mm-hmm.
it used to be completely frank, it used to be better when it was in San Francisco because it was a back then it was run at a bar, so it was kind of like there's some seats at the front, you could stand up and like walk around the bar while the podcast was happening on stage. But this one's interesting because now it's in a theatre, so it's kind of like you line up, you go in, you get one drink on the way, and you sit down in the theatre, and then you can't move for the entire time of the presentation. And then by the time you come out, all the drinks are gone. So I feel like they could make it a bit more fun, but no, it's still a really, really good evening
So what is your recommendation of the going to the after party? I always confuse like which one is like good one. I only go to the really like, famous name, you know, like Leon's panel before.
Oh yeah.
Try
Yeah, there's no real on this though. It was interesting. So there's actually, let me see if we can find it. The guy who made Memento, Gennady, also makes an app called WWDC parties. And so this is really fantastic because like it collects all of the events happening during the week, and you can actually say, I've bookmarked that one, I've bookmarked that one, and it gives you links straight to the tickets so you can sign up. So that's a really great thing because you can see every single event happening during the week, and you can. It depends because sometimes you can't get in because it's so popular that RSVPs sign out like finished before you even notice it. But yeah, if that's the case, there's so many other events on during the week that you can go to those instead.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Cool. All right, I guess we'll move on.
Cool, thanks everyone.
Thank you.